Hola a todos, soy Alejandra Campos de Campos Law Firm. El día de hoy tenemos a dos invitados muy especiales que son nuestras abogadas especialistas, una en derecho de familia y otra en workers' comp. La abogada Jaizlyn es especialista en derecho de familia y propiedades y pues vamos a entonces a hacerles un poquito las preguntas a todos, a ellas de cuáles son los casos que más ven. Thank you so much, Jaizlyn, for being here. We wanted to ask you, both of you, thank you actually for being here. I know that you are busy and you are in court and all of that, but we wanted the people to know what is that you do. And exactly, what is the questions that come usually from the clients that you see, so let's talk about you. You are a native from Colorado, right? Actually, and she went to law school
here in Colorado, Boulder.
In Boulder, very nice. And then you have been working in our office in Lakewood. Can you tell us what kind of cases are you taking right now? And what is what do you see most?
Yeah, I think generally, we see a lot of different types of cases. I think what we see a lot is people do their divorce cases really late in the process. It's been years, months since they've separated with their partner, and now they're coming to us. And, we have a specific case where even our client, her children have are the ones that have stopped her from doing this divorce. Unfortunately, they don't want it to happen. But I think one of the things we talk a lot about is what is most beneficial for the actual clients and not, anyone else besides them, because really it is about our client and what they really need.
That's true. We were talking outside of the camera how we see a lot of manipulation from the kids to try to keep the relationship alive. But what they don't see is that sometimes the parents are the ones that are really in a bad, abusive relation, and the kids don't help because they are kids. They don't understand, right? The fact that their parents are divorcing doesn't mean that they are not going to see their parents anymore. Can you give us a specific case? ¿Puedes darnos un caso específico que tú hayas dicho, mira, lo importante de contratar a un abogado? Can you give us a case of that you can see the importance of actually hiring a lawyer? Because people sometimes say, well, I don't know if I should pay, if it's going to cost money. In your experience, what do you see? Give us an example.
Yeah, so we have a specific case right now where our client has tried to do the divorce before. She has this case. They kind of slowly struggled through it, got through the middle of it, and then just got stuck. Didn't go anywhere. It was just left open. And here in Colorado, if you leave your case open for too long and you're not, progressing, it ends up getting closed automatically. And so for her, it closed, nothing happened. Now she's in a situation where she's trying to do the divorce again. And with, our help, she's actually able to submit the actual documents she needs to make sure that, her husband doesn't just manipulate all of these properties and money, because he's the one that's kind of for so long held control about those things.
One of the things that we see is that sometimes the husband, or at least one party, thinks that because the properties are only under their name, that they are the only owners. So can you tell us exactly if that is true or not?
It's definitely not true. So when you're married, either you actually did a legal marriage or you have a common law marriage, whatever property or assets come into your hands at that point belong to both of you. It's marital property. So it doesn't matter if everything is only under one name, you both have the right to all of those things.
And can you tell us, because some people, when we receive the calls, they are like, I don't know if I'm entitled to receive any money because I'm illegal, and my other partner is the person that actually is legal in this country, and that person keeps manipulating me. What is your answer about that?
Yeah, so immigration status doesn't really take effect, really. It doesn't mean that you have less rights. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't do this case or that you run a risk with doing this case. I think often that's what stops our clients, but I think it's important to continue these processes, because sometimes not doing it is actually what ends up impacting our immigration cases later.
Exactly, because for example, in that case, I think that you were talking, one of the ex-partner will start selling the businesses, right, without the authorization of the wife, so that he can take all the money before the divorce. If she will, and the only way to stop it is to start actually the divorce process, right? Mm-hmm. So the longer that you postpone it, the worse that it's going to be for you. Right? Especially if you don't know the law, especially if it takes time to hire a lawyer. And then what is your advice for people when they say, I don't have money? Because, we offer monthly payments, we offer payment arrangements. We actually want people to be able to use us to give them the legal advice, right? So have you seen that works for the clients? That's one of the questions that they always have?
Yes, definitely. I think that it's a little scary to do a legal case. Sometimes we hear about how much money a case can cost, and even that stops us from even getting an initial consultation. But I think we found that we've been able to work with our clients with monthly payments to see like how we can keep progressing in their case, but also make sure that there's kind of this agreement of continuing the relationship with the attorney as well.
Thank you so much, Jaizlyn. Any other questions that you receive at that office from clients? Because I know they come asking you for real estate properties, right? Mm-hmm. For family, sometimes criminal is always related, right? Sometimes we have cases that they want to get divorced because one of the persons has actually suffered domestic violence, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. And then they sometimes don't report that to the police because they don't want to hurt the other person's status. What is your recommendation in that situation?
Yeah, I think that unfortunately, we are stuck with a lot of these issues sometimes, but I think it's important to think about what really fits your needs the most as an individual client, and not really as about your partner. Sometimes going through with a divorce or a family case does have other impacts. We have some cases where there's a divorce case, but also involved, like you said, is a domestic violence case. So, the good thing I think with us is that we can really address all these types of issues because we, practice in so many areas. So I think my recommendation more than anything is to do the consultation, because I think sometimes our clients don't even know how many different types of issues and laws they really have to consider.
That's true. Thank you. And I think what my advice for everybody is that if you don't take care of yourself, you cannot really take care of your kids. Mm-hmm. You need to arrive to a point where you are not afraid, where you have income security, where you know your rights. And that's the only way for you to take action. And is to come to the experts, to come to our law firm, that we have lawyers from every area of law, family, criminal, workers' comp, personal injury, immigration. And so we can give you an advice because we have all these great minds that are willing to help you. Thank you so much, Jaizlyn, for coming here today. So now let's talk with another lawyer, Rachel. Rachel, thank you so much for being here.
Of course.
So Rachel is our lawyer that specializes in workers' comp. So Rachel, can you tell us a little of your background, please? I know you have been dealing before with insurance, and what made you come to this area of the workers' comp?
Yeah, so I have some experience in personal injury, which there is a lot of overlap a lot of times with workers' comp. And one of the things I did a lot with personal injury is calling up insurance companies, speaking to adjusters, figuring out claims, things like that. And so I do have experience with that, which is really important in workers' compensation. Workers' comp is a really important field. People are injured all the time on the job, and they have the rights to receive compensation for their medical bills or missed time, things like that. So I just think it's a really important field.
Well, thank you so much, Rachel. And what do you see? Can you tell us about an example where you are like, thanks God this person actually came to us, because that person was only receiving one part of what workers' comp is and not everything that is entitled?
Yeah, so we have a case where somebody was injured on the job and he was receiving compensation for his medical bills and the appointments that he was going to, but he has a right to receive compensation for the missed time that he missed from work due to the injury, and he was not receiving that. So it's really important to come in, speak with us. We're able to, talk to the insurance company and whoever we need to speak to be able to get that compensation for them.
And I understand that people are entitled Then for workers' comp, they are entitled to medical treatment when that's actually for people that are not familiar, workers' comp is when you suffer some accident at work. And because of that, then there is an insurance that the employer should pay in case that you suffer that accident so that you can receive medical treatment, compensation for the missing salary, disfigurement in case that they had to give you surgery and you get scars or you miss one part of your body. And if you cannot recover and you cannot work anymore, you are entitled to a full payment for for your life changing and for the fact that you are not going to be able to receive that income. So that's very important. So I have a question for you. What happens if a person comes to you and they say, listen, I got injured at work, but my employer doesn't have insurance or doesn't want to give me the insurance for workers' comp? What do we do in this case?
Yeah, so it may depend on a case-by-case basis, but just because the insurer or the employer doesn't have insurance, that doesn't mean that there's no options. Oftentimes, you may be able to, you can say, climb the ladder and go to the next person up, whether it's the government or if you're working for a subcontractor, going to that contractor. There's ways to get the compensation, even if your employer is not insured.
Thank you, Rachel. That's a very key information, right? Because we see that a lot where those are small companies and they didn't understand that they had a duty to actually buy a workers' comp insurance, right, and they didn't pay. They didn't buy it. Then they have employees that are stuck without injured at the job and without being able to receive money. Right. So there is a good thing that there is an option, yes, that the government provides so that you actually can get that indemnification. My other question for you is that we always receive calls from clients that they think they are not entitled to any monetary compensation or medical treatment because they don't have documents in this country. What can you say about that?
Your legal status does not matter when it comes to workers' compensation. If you are in this country and you are working and you are injured on the job, you are entitled to compensation for your injuries.
Thank you. That's a very good key because people are always afraid of that, right? Another thing is that they say, listen, I was afraid to report that I got injured because I didn't want to lose my job. What happened if they didn't report? I know that by law they should report that injury within 10 days, but what happens if you don't report the injury? Can you still have a right to report it if the 10 days have passed? What can we say about that?
Yeah, I would say to still report it. It's important to have that documentation and put your employer on notice that you were injured. And then, of course, we can kind of figure out the next steps of what we need to do in order to get that compensation. But it is important to inform the employer of the injury so that way that a claim can be open with their insurance.
Thank you. And also, I understand that in workers' comp, when you inform the lawyer, they should give you a list of like 4 clinics where they can give you medical attention. What happens if they don't give you the list? Are you entitled to go anywhere that you want to receive medical attention?
Yes. So if they don't give you a list, you should still be seeing a doctor. If you're injured, you need to go get medical treatment. You also, if they do give you a list, you are able to try and change one of the doctors. You can submit, it needs to be a written request if there's a reason why you can't see any of those doctors on the list. So, if you're injured, it's important, you need medical treatment, you should be going to a doctor. So we can, help you figure that out, who you need to see. If we need to help you submit a request to change the medical provider, whatever it may be, we can help out with that.
That's very good. So can you tell us what happened? Because we have cases like that right now, right? Where a person got hired in Colorado and then the company sent them to do a job in another state. Can they still file workers' comp?
Yes, and you can still do it in the state of Colorado as long as you signed your employment contract in Colorado, you've been working in Colorado. At that point, you can file your workers' compensation claim in Colorado.
And what happened with people, for example, that they say that they didn't hire a lawyer, they informed their injury, the insurance, and they receive a letter from the insurer, insurance company saying that their claim was denied. Can they still have a recourse for that?
Yeah, so it's oftentimes very difficult with insurance companies. That's why it is really important to come see an attorney. We are equipped to be able to communicate with them. Oftentimes, insurance companies, they send out letters and forms that you might not understand because you've never seen it before. And they're oftentimes can be very confusing, or maybe there's even a language barrier. If they send you something that says that the letter was denied, come see us. We will be able to try and take those next steps to try and get that claim opened and see why it was denied and what we can do to fix that.
And the other question is that sometimes clients say, oh no, if I hire a lawyer, they're going to take all the money from me, and then I'm going to receive less compensation. What is the advice that you should give to any person that is suffering an injury right now and that they are afraid to contact us?
I totally understand that sentiment. You know, it can be hard. You're trying to be compensated for things that you've lost. You know, you're losing time with work, or you're having to go to the doctor and you're getting medical bills. So you want to be compensated for that. It is just standard practice that attorneys take fees out of that for, you know, the work that we do, but that should not deter you from getting an attorney, because we will be the ones that are able to help you get compensation and be fully compensated. We don't want you to only get one part of we want you to be fully compensated. And so there should be, you know, I understand the hesitation, but there really shouldn't be any hesitation, because we'll just make the process easier for you. We'll be the ones contacting the insurance company and whoever else we need to contact. And so while I understand, you know, having an attorney can be really important in these types of cases.
I totally agree, because what you are saying is that we actually add value to your case. Insurance companies, you need to remember, the insurance companies don't work for you. They actually work for their employers, and their job is actually to try to make money by paying the less amount of money possible. So we as lawyers, what we do with insurance is that we try to say, no, your policy says this, and no, the employer is supposed to receive, you know, 40 hours per week, and this was the income that this person was receiving, and over time. Sometimes insurance companies say, oh, no, that person was just receiving the minimum, right? So they don't take in consideration the overtime, they don't take in consideration the disfigurement. We know the law, we know the rules, therefore we will definitely add value to your case, a money that you have never received. So basically, don't think that we are taking money from you. We are actually gaining money for you, and from that money that you were never going to receive is that we get paid. Exactly. So definitely you should not be hesitant to hire a lawyer. You don't have anything to lose. On the contrary, you have a lot to gain. Thank you so much, Rachel, for being here today. I know you are very busy, and thank you again, Jaizlyn, for being here. So my recommendation for everybody is that you can hire us in Campos Law Firm. Our consultations are free. So, you know, worst case scenario is that you will know the law and you will know your rights. So you don't have anything to lose. And the most important thing is, like, for example, in family and in these areas of law, we work with a fee that we tell you from what are our fees. But with workers' comp, what we do is that we work for you and we only get paid when you get paid. Exactly. So it's it's a contingency. So you don't have to put any money up front, which people sometimes don't understand, because they are like, oh, I cannot afford a lawyer because I'm not receiving income. So you don't have to worry about that. We will work contingent on you to receive the payment that you deserve. Thank you so much again, girls, for being here. And thank you so much for seeing us, and just contact us. Remember that you can follow us at camposlaw.go, which is our new app. Thank you. Have a good day.